Before we begin the session for the day, I'd like to take this chance to wish every one of you a very happy Women's Day. To all the women in your life and to all the female participants of this session, I wish you a very happy International Women's Day. So let's begin the session. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, we did use model view model architecture. And we also learned about data binding and view model. Correct. However, we are not able to use live data because of the time constraints on Monday. So today we will try to implement live data as well into the same application. As of now, it is running absolutely fine. If I increment the score is getting incremented. If I decrement it, the score is getting decremented. Even if I rotate my screen from portrait to landscape or vice versa, the data is getting populated. The data is not getting reset. Okay. So how do we proceed further with live data? So for that, we just need to, in the classroom, delay paste all links and search for live data and write. Live data concept is built around RX Java, reactive extension Java. Live data is built around it. That is the reason it works in observable pattern. So if you want to get the changes noticed by multiple observers that are present in your application, you can only achieve this using live data. You may ask me for an example. Let us say you are waiting. Let us say you are supposed to display the same kind of data on multiple activities. What are you trying to do? Same data you want to display on multiple activities. Okay. So, so what do? You will observe this data on all those activities so that whenever there is an update in this variable, the same update will be cascaded to all the observers that are present. You'll see an example though. Hope you understood this. So this link you can go through how this works. What's more about it? What is an observer? What is the life cycle owner? Everything you can learn about it. Okay. Anyway, I'll be teaching all this right away here in this example. However, my example is not the complete picture. So the complete picture, if you want to get about live data, please go to the documentation. Not only this, for any other. Oh shit, it is in draft. I did not save it. Oops, no problem. Today I'll post it. This is about live data. Okay. View model and live data. Data binding, view model, and live data. Yeah. So how do we use live data in our application? So in our application, if you see,
recording in progress.
So this is not the application that we developed, right? Sorry, this is not the one. Batch 16. Team scorer. Yeah, this one again. This one. So this is the application. Sorry for opening the wrong one. I'll write it here. It is confusion, right? So open Team Scorer application, for example. So we already have data binding in place. We already have view model in place. So to further make this code too much concise, to make it more concise and more readable, to make it more readable, we can employ using live data. Okay, so we can use live data um, instead of calling this binding.textView.setText multiple times. Okay, we need not to call this multiple times. We will reduce calling this line multiple times. So the code, which is already more readable, will become even more readable. So what I'm trying to do is, instead of count here, which is a normal variable, I'd like to make it as mutable live data. So mutable live data is from live data library. And in the count variable, you cannot set the value directly. What you can do is pass the initial value that you would like to set on top of the live data object. Next, if you want to increment the score, you cannot do count plus plus. Instead, you should do count dot set value is equal to same count dot get value plus 1. Similar is the case with in decrement as well. This is minus 1. Right. So, okay, count also has to be initialized. This is an object, guys. So it has to be initialized. So count is equal to new mutable live data. That's it. This is how we initialize it. Okay. So far, so good. And on main activity, how do we work with it? So calling mvm.count will not work for us, right? Every time if you call mvm.count will not work for us. Let us leave this as it is. Count dot get value. We'll call it. Let us leave only this statement as it is and uh, remove this statement here. So instead of this, what we will do is we will wait for the value to change. Okay. So mvm dot count dot we will set, okay, we will observe the changes in the count value through this lifecycle owner and a new observer. When you implement a new observer, you get to see on changed method, which gives you an integer. This you can simply populate it on top of the binding dot text view dot set text string dot value of integer. So whenever there is a change, so when increment is happening or when decrement is happening, this change will be observed by this mechanism. Okay. Let's run the application to see if this really works fine for us. Okay, the app is getting installed. Yes, it got installed. If I click on plus, see, even if I click on plus, only increment is happening. And how does the value get updated? Because with mvm.increment, we are actually changing the value of count. And as we have written an observer, in the onChanged method, you are getting that value. And the same value is updated here. Simple, right? Similar is the case with the decrement. So I can increase the score, decrease the score. I can also rotate my screen and my value still persists because of this line, right? As the view model is alive across the life cycle changes of an activity, we are able to do this. Okay. So this is just one advantage of using live data, view model, and data binding libraries together. So whenever you implement an application, whenever you develop an application based on MVVM model, view model architecture, data binding, view model, and live data are compulsory to use. All right. The other applications that the other components that you want to integrate is optional. Okay. Even though there is no data binding, at least live data and view model should be used. In MVVM, VM stands for view model, which is alive across the orientation changes or configuration changes of an activity. Right. So any questions on live data, guys? Any questions on live data? All right. I hope there are no other questions for live data. So I am closing this project. Right. We are going to explore room database now. Akansha is asking a question. How count is updating using MVVM object? See, which one you are asking, which one you are referring to, this one or this one? From line number 31 or from line number 27, you're asking. In button. See, in button, what are we doing? We are just incrementing the score on, we are calling increment method on MVM object. So MVM object is for main view model. So what is happening here? We are calling this increment method. Here, we have already written the logic to set the value on count variable um, by adding this line count dot get value plus 1. So this is how count value is updated. And live data works in this pattern. Whenever there is an update in a variable for which the live data is enabled, the observers, all the observers related to this variable are notified. Yes, that's what I'm telling you. Mutable live data, what it does is, whenever there is an update in the object of mutable live data, let it be increment, decrement, or any other change for that matter, it will be mutable live data will be cascading the information to all its observers. So we only have one observer on main activity. Here it is the only observer we have. So this observer will be notified through onChanged method. So the change will be coming here. The updated object will be coming here. And the same, I am showing it on top of the text view. In the same way, if you have like 10, 15 observers, all 10, 15 observers will be notified. That is how reactive Java works. Okay, React Java, reactive Java. There are many other names for that matter. So it works in observer pattern. Okay. Akansha, clear? Is it clear? Live data is used in almost all the applications that uses MVVM Alta. So don't you think this is a real-time project? So this has a good design, functionality is there, functionality is there, and you also have a live data concept, view model concept integrated, and we're actually saving the state through view model, getting the data from live data using observer pattern. Yes, wherever there is this kind of a scenario, all those projects, live data is employed. Okay, good. Any more questions, guys? Okay. So for live data, I'd like to give you a nice uh, live data Android Google Code Lab Java. Okay, this is in Kotlin. This one is already done, right? Mm. This is for room database. We'll prepare a better application than this. Don't worry. Mm, okay, I'll take it. I'll try to locate that code lab and I'll give it to you. Oh, there is this GitHub page available for us. This is similar to the documentation, guys. So don't worry about it. Like I'll give you the code lab and you can go through this. Until then, you can go through these official documentation links for more info on view model and live data. So Let's discuss about room database. Let's hit on a new project, empty activity, hit next. Let's call the application as room database. Leave the defaults to their defaults. Hit on finish to create the project. Having some throat issues today. Mhm. Right. And I have the usual work of updating this to 33. Okay, let's get introduced to room database. So what is room database? Room is based on ORM. So what is ORM? Object relational mapping. For more info, you can also go ahead to Google and type object relational mapping. So if you see, you get a Wikipedia link. So on based on object relational mapping, there are several technologies that are developed. So in computer science is a programming technique for converting data between a relational database and the heap of an object-oriented programming language. This creates in effect a virtual object database that can be used from within the programming language. Hmm. So we write everything based on objects only. Instead of writing uh, big queries like this, we reduce them to writing a less code. Okay. Search for room database. Oh shit. So what is this? International Women's Day 2023. Okay. Oh, nice. Nice. Oh, okay. If I multiple tap on it, coming like this. Fantastic, man. Nice. Too nice. No, I don't want to share this experience because everyone has to see it on their own. Hmm. So, yeah. So if you want to save the data in the local database using Room, this is the documentation that you're supposed to follow. Okay. There is sample implementation available for you. You can directly use it. You can directly use this. So whatever is required to learn Room database, everything is present here. I'm adding a link. So Room is not a separate database that is developed. Room is not a separate database that is developed. Separate spelling also correct. That is developed. It is an abstract layer built on top of the core SQLite database. The transactions are easy on Room comparatively or in Room. comparatively, because the spelling is wrong, because of ORM. Okay, we need not to write long queries. So what are the important pieces of information we have? So important pieces of in information or important pieces of room database. First thing is entity. So through this, we create the tables. Next is DAO. It stands for Database Access Object. Database Access Object. Through this, we write the commands. Finally, we have database or room database. This is the entry point for room database. So these three things, if you implement, you are done. You are done using room database. Let me post this. So in order to get started, what is the thing that we need to do? For Java, you just have to copy these three lines. Okay, copy them, come back, go to build.gradle file, scroll down, paste your link here. So this room version is this version 2.5.0. Okay, for compiler and for runtime. Okay. Now, if you hit on sync now, your project is synchronized. Your project will come to synchronization. Right. So the room database dependency is added. Hmm. So as I told you before, entities are tables. So how do we create a data entity with the help of a class? So let us create a new Java class. Let us call it person. The name of the class is person. And this is what I want to name the table as. I want to name the not exactly age is another column name. This becomes the whole table. You may wonder, this is just a normal class. How can this be converted to a table? Just you need to annotate it with entity annotation. And all room annotations begin with a capital letter. Okay. All room database based annotations, room library annotations begin with a capital letter. Now, if you like to change the person, you like to change the table name, you can change it. You can say person table. If you want to leave the table name to person, you can just take this away. In a similar way, the column names can also be changed if you want to. Let us say column name I want to change. So column info name is equal to, you can give any name for that matter, person underscore ID. This is how you can change the column names. But now I don't want to change the column name of ID. Instead, I want to make this ID as a primary key. Just have to write primary key and auto generate is equal to true. It is equivalent to that of writing create table name, person ID, primary key auto increment. So is that easy or this seems easy? This is obviously easy, isn't it? So for person object, what do? Is we create a normal constructor first, alt insert. Let's create a constructor by selecting none. This is an empty constructor for us. Alt insert constructor. Choose all three. Hit OK. And then create getter methods because for setting the data we are using constructor. So I'm getting the data using getter methods. You're done with this method actually. We are done with creating a object. Sorry, creating a table. This way, if you have multiple tables, person is not the only table you have. Let us suppose. If you have multiple tables of the same kind, okay, you can create all of them using entity annotation. Just create a model Pojo class, annotate it with @entity, and all the fields you can annotate it with column info to change their names if you want to. Otherwise, if you want to make a primary key on top of the field, you can just annotate it with @primary key. Quite easy, right? Quite easy. Next comes is the DAO object. As discussed, DAO must be an interface. So we'll say person DAO. This is an interface. Hit OK. So what commands would I like to write? I'd like to write insert command, void insert data. So we take the person object directly. You just have to annotate this with insert and you just have to annotate this interface with DAO. You're done. You can write as many commands as you wish to. Let us say you have an update command. You can update it. Void update data. So this is this is the name. This is what you're supposed to call it from. Person P. That's it. This is how you write commands. Only for select statement, we have a command. Let us say you want to return a list of person objects when getData method is called. This has to be annotated with query annotation, and you're supposed to write the select statement. Select star from space and then write the table name, or table name will come in automatically. Person. Is this the table name that we have? No semicolon, please. No, person is the table name. This is the per table name. Okay. Simple. Now you may ask me, Pawan, you said that insert data will insert the data because it has @insert annotation. Update data will update the data because it has got @update annotation. In the similar way, you also have written a query command, but you have written it something different than usual. How are these commands getting their code? They are getting their code through these annotations. When they are called, there is some code generated in the background. Okay. So this step is also given in the documentation. If you see, there is a table creation, how to do this table creation is shown here. And then the data access object queries also we have written. Okay, in an interface at the DAO. Finally, the database class has to be created that extends to room database. This is our final step in creating the database. No new it on Java. Sorry, not function file. It on Java class. We'd like to call it as person database. This is a class, but obviously this is an abstract class. Abstract. You may ask me, how do you know that is abstract? Because of the documentation. Here it is there, abstract class. You just have to extend this to room database. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You're supposed to annotate this class with @database. So in the @database annotation, you're supposed to give all the entries that you have. Entities are nothing but tables, guys. I only have person dot class. If I have multiple classes as tables or entities, I can just put a comma and write them. Next, export schema to false, and then version is 1. Version is 1. Version is equal to 1. Export schema is also not needed. This is also not needed. Simply version is sufficient. Now this abstract class is going to have an abstract method. Public abstract person DAO. The class name, the method name is, I will say, get DAO, because it will be more understandable for you if I write it as get DAO. Okay. So similarly, it is written here. Here they have written user DAO. That might confuse you. That is why I have written it as get DAO. So with get DAO, you get this person DAO with which you can access all the methods present in the person DAO. Then what is the last step? As all these are connected by default, this person is here and the data operations are happening like this, and the database is entirely been connected here. The next step is to create the UI. So for UI creation, I'm not going to waste a lot of time. Instead, what I'll do is I'll go back to sheet preferences file. Oh shit! Wow. This is batch 16 only, right? Why am I getting shit, man? Batch 15, huh? This is okay. Got it now. Go to resources, layout, activity underscore me. Just need to copy this one. Folders are changed. I hate it. Split, Control A, Control V. You're done. The design is done for you. In a similar way, on main activity, you can connect all of them using the same coding. Okay. You can actually copy these things. Come back to Android Studio, paste them here. Go ahead. Person name, person age, person result. And you need to have save data and load data methods. Because buttons, when buttons are clicked, you come to these methods, right? That is why. So I'm just actually creating the skeleton of it. So name and age, you need to get it, right? And for load data, I can remove everything. View have to be imported. Now here, to-dos also I'm going to remove, because you know that you want to get data from the edit text boxes, you're getting it. Okay. In the person object, we need to do one change, and that is integer ID. You can remove this integer ID. Because as we told, the auto generated true, you need not to have integer ID here. So you can remove this one. Nice. It looks good. Now come to main activity. As you read data, you are supposed to put it into the databases. So that is why you need to create um, person database object. Sorry, it is person database object. Let us call it database. Okay, this database can be initialized easily. Database is equal to room dot database builder, pass the context object, and then the database class name. The database class name is person database dot class. Finally, you give the database that you would like to create. I'd like to create a database by the name Pawan, my name. Finally, you have to call allow main thread queries because you want to run this database operations on the main thread. Finally, call the build method. So this is the same thing mentioned in the documentation also. If you see the documentation also mentions the same. So app database is the class that is created. For that, there is an object created, and then you are actually calling the database builder on top of room. That's it. You're done. Now, when saving the data, all you need to do is just need to call database dot get DAO and then call insert data. And for that, you'll pass a new person object with name and age. That's it. You're done with the database insertion. You can say toast dot make text dot show. I can write this data inserted toast dot length long. We'll also reset the data. So person name, okay, person is dot get text dot clear. Person name dot get text dot clear. Request focus is not needed. Similar is the case with loading of data also. We are waiting for a list of person objects. Get data, sorry, list of person objects person list is equal to, you will use this room database object. Database dot get data, get DAO dot get data. Simple. And you can use a for loop for each loop. So if person P object from the list of person list, you get to display it on the result object. So person result dot append. You can write P dot get name or get ID first, and then add a space. P dot get name, add a space, then P dot get age. These are all the getter methods that we have created, if you remember. And before we set anything on the person result, we'll actually set the data to empty, because next time if I click on load data, for the same data, the result should not append. Right. I can run this application aram say on my device and see if it works. If it does not work, then the picture is different a little bit. So let's give some data here. I'm giving my name and hitting on save. So the data is inserted. Let us add few more details like Kumar 22. Hit on save. The data is inserted. So just like SQLite database, can we explore it here? Yes. Go to Device File Explorer. Open data again, and go to Room Database folder. In.Naresh Technologies.Room Database. Here it is. So the database name is Pavan, right? You can jump into database and you can find Pavan. You can save it inside the project. Here in this documents, we'll paste it. Batch 15 or 16, what is it? Batch 15, huh? Batch 15. Yeah, thank you. My mind is not working properly today because of throat and headache issue. Hit OK, and then your file is saved. Now you must be able to explore it properly, correct? So documents, batch, okay, batch 15. Yeah, Pavan is the database name. I can open it with, database browser for SQLite. Okay, what is the table name? I'm not getting any data. What is the project name? Project name is room database. That is fine. Okay, let us see if the data is saved properly or not. But if I load the data is coming in. Person Pavan is the database name, so you should be able to find it. Database is Pavan. Let us save it again. Save it as. There is one drive. It is here. No caches, please. Here it is. Documents. Batch 15. Okay, save it. Only 4 bytes of data we have. What is this? Okay, the tables are not getting displayed here. However, the functionality is achieved, isn't it? Not sure why this is not working. I'll look into it. .sql extension. I don't think so. This is just a name. If you see, in the previous project also, we just gave a generic name. We just gave a generic name. Okay, you want me to do with db, .db. That's not needed. Even that falls into the same category. I'll see, I'll look into it. So with this, we are done with the room database concept, guys. If there are any questions, you can ask me once we are. Yeah, you can ask me meanwhile while I'm pushing this project to GitHub. Sorry, Bitbucket. So this project is basically created into batch 16. That should be brought back. Room database. Yeah, this is the only one. Do we have score tracker? Everything is there. Right. The data is pushed to GitHub. Yes, Shweta, it is possible. Right. Thanks, guys. We'll meet tomorrow at sharp 7 o'clock with a new concept. Take care. Bye bye.